Today on the Autocar show, we're in Goa to drive the all-new long-wheelbase Mercedes-Benz E-Class. Honda gives its bestseller, the City, a facelift. And what's new in the Bajaj Pulsar family?
Well, I'm more dressed up than I normally would be for a shoot with my high heels and all. But that's because today's about luxury. Now, this is about a luxury car that 20 years ago was the only luxury car really around. Well, ever since then, it's the Mercedes E-Class that has become the de facto go-to car for luxury buyers in the segment. Well, it's here in its 10th generation, and it does have a lot more competition than it did 20 years ago, and Mercedes have been upping the ante all the while. But this time around, they've decided to stretch it a little further. And by stretch, I mean quite literally, because for the first time ever, we're getting the long wheelbase version in India. Now, at this point, I would normally get into the front seat and drive, but what I'm going to do is enjoy the lap of luxury in the back seat and get Shapur to drive me around Goa. The long wheelbase version of the E-Class is really stretched. The front and rear wheels are more than 3 meters apart, opening up a massive amount of cabin space. Though the overall length is only 184 millimeters longer than the previous E-Class, the wheelbase is a generous 205 millimeters more than before. The top-of-the-line 350D also gets air suspension all around to keep its passengers in cushy comfort. I get into this back seat, and the amount of space that the long wheelbase opens up is very, very apparent. There's a huge amount of legroom over here. I can actually do my morning stretch exercises really comfortably. Pilar is on the way to work, but I may not be the ideal depiction since I'm short for this back seat, but trust me, even Shaquille O'Neal would be comfortable over here. There's just ample amount of legroom for the tallest of people. The seats themselves are extremely comfortable. In fact, now you can recline the backrest, and it even has a memory setting, so you can, set it when you get into the car to exactly the position you like. And with the backrest all the way back, it is extremely comfortable. And this pillowy, soft Alcantara leather headrest makes it even better. You get a lot of convenient features in this back seat too to make you comfortable. There's a nice rubber scooped out area where you can keep things so that they don't slide around. There's a pocket for your phone. There's storage area over here. There's a USB port, and I get buttons to control pretty much everything. I can control my side blind. I can control the rear sun blind. I can open or close the panoramic sunroof. And should I be seated on the other side, I could also control this seat and move it forward or backward at the touch of a button. So pretty much lots that I can do with the touch of a button, but there's one critical thing that I can't do, and that's control that fancy multimedia system. I have to ask my chauffeur to do everything for me. Shapur, can we have some music? So there is no remote for the rear seat passenger, and there are no cup holders as well. But you can opt for the cup holders as an accessory. However, you do get illuminated vanity mirrors integrated into the roof, a 64-color ambient lighting system with separate controls for front and rear zones, and a 3-zone climate control system with 4 vents at the rear and 6 on the dashboard. However, the aircon does take time to cool the larger cabin, and one often has to set the temperature to low and turn the blower on full to cool down the rear seat. But there is no doubt that this back seat delivers on the ultimate luxury experience in the way that it shuts out sounds and also in the way that it drives over our roads. Set in comfort mode and at low speeds, it just glides over surfaces, the air suspension working away silently, making you feel like you're floating on a cushion of air. In comfort mode, it's got this pillowy ride, but that means there is quite a lot of movement as you pick up the pace. So if you do go faster, it's actually better to have it in sport, which doesn't really, make the ride much worse, but it settles the car down and tethers it much better. Even in sport mode, the ride quality is better than most, and it does a great job of making the Indian roads feel like autobahns. The backseat experience is truly a luxurious one, and with the levels of space and comfort it opens up, there's no doubt it's the best in the business. Well, that's me really comfortable in the back seat, being chauffeured around for the day. But Shapur, since you're doing the duty, let's hear from you how it is to drive this car, this all-new E.
Now, the first thing you realize as soon as you get behind the wheel of this car is that the long wheelbase gives it tremendous stability. And what also helps is that the car is so beautifully encapsulated, it's so silent, it really does mask the speed beautifully.
We were driving the 350D, which comes with a creamy smooth 3-liter V6 that produces 258 HP and produces a whopping 620 Nm of torque.
What you do really enjoy from behind the wheel is that big lusty diesel. The 3-liter V6 has loads and loads of torque, and Merc have combined it so beautifully with the new 9-speed auto. It just chops up the torque beautifully and dishes it out in a nice smooth manner.
The refinement level of the engine is impressive, and that's more because it never feels like it's working hard. The power just makes the acceleration effortless. The calm in the cabin doesn't let you feel the speed as it builds up, and you often don't realize just how quick you're going. In fact, the surge of torque when you put your foot down makes you even forget that this is actually a long limo. A 6.6 second 0 to 100 on a car that's over 5 meters long is impressive.
While the focus of this new E-Class is the rear seat, what also does help the driving experience is the fact that it has an individual driving mode. Now, normally you have Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, and these work well enough. But in this case, Comfort is too pillowy, and Sport, when you put it in Sport, the gearbox is too quick and aggressive. So individual is sort of the best blend between the rest, and that really works well.
The individual setting allows you to get the best blend of engine, gearbox and suspension to enhance your driving experience. Another benefit is the lift feature on the air suspension that helps you raise the ground clearance from the regular 120 mm to 135 mm. It's handy especially when you have to take this long wheelbase over large speed breakers. While we did clear most of the speed breakers, we did scrape over one or two of the larger ones. Maneuvering the large E-Class on narrower roads, you do feel its size. But the steering, which is light and easy at lower speeds, goes a long way in making it feel better. In fact, the steering is another strength of this car, and it weighs up nicely as you go quicker.
Get into a corner and you do feel the length of the car. But what really helps is this nice and accurate steering. It makes it easy to place the car properly and precisely in a corner, and that goes a long way to increasing your driving pleasure.
On a winding section of road, it's definitely better to select Sport or Sport Plus. It doesn't make the car thrilling or as much fun to drive as some of the competition, but one has to remember that this is more a limo, and by that standard, it does a pretty neat job of winding its way around corners. Body control and directional stability are good enough to allow you to enjoy the power from the engine. Well, Shapur, nice long driving day it's been, but I think it's about time that I got into that front seat, even if it's just to take a look at the interiors and just, see what all the new E has on offer. So if we can just come to a stop and we can trade places, that would be great. Well, finally, I'm in the driver's seat. If at all, is only to take a look at the interior of the car. I have to say that it is really nice. It's quite uniquely different because there's this glossy black console that sort of stretches across the dials. And of course, there's this huge 12.3-inch multimedia display. I've now linked it to my phone, which you can connect so you can have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. But the thing is, not touchscreen. You have to use everything via the dials or the buttons or the swipe buttons on your steering wheel. Yes, the steering wheel does have these innovative new sort of touch controls. That's something different, but it'll take a little getting used to use them. And of course, there is this really premium looking, nice, good quality interior, every bit luxury that you want. Walk around the car and it's the extra length that gets you first. It looks regal, classy and sophisticated, all rolled into one. The design isn't path-breaking and the family familiarity is so much that apart from its size, it's hard to tell it apart from its siblings, the S and the C. The all-LED lights are also a link to the previous gen car, and the sporty grille up front provides continuity too. The headlight pods, however, are recessed and placed below the hood line, and the sporty chin gives this new E a youthful appeal. Follow the lines of the car all the way to the rear, and it looks handsome in a big-boned way. The bonnet is long, and there's a distinct ridge that runs through the door handles all the way to the rear. And what's clear is that the 3-meter plus wheelbase and the new rear quarter glass make it look like a baby Maybach. Notice how the base of the C-pillar is finished in a band of thick and luscious chrome. The rear has encrusted LED tail lights that make it recognizable as the new E. It also sits on 17-inch wheels which are run flat, and you get a space saver in the boot, but it's strapped in and eats a bit into the boot space. It's back to base and we're enjoying the good going lifestyle over here. It's been a nice drive out, and there's no doubt about it, the biggest talking point about this car is that luxurious back seat. The long wheelbase has made all the difference. We did miss a few things over there, but there's no doubting that it is the best back seat in the segment, and of course there is that fantastic ride quality. So this luxury you're after, it definitely does the job perfectly. So that's from the back seat, Shapur. You were driving the car.
Yeah, so, there are two sides to this car. There's, of course, a weekday car, the E-Class in the weekday. You sit in the back, you're comfortable, you have all your stuff around you. And then there's the weekend. There's the fun of driving the car. And this car delivers in this area as well. It's got a nice, big, powerful V6 diesel under the hood. It's got a super new 9-speed gearbox that chops out the power beautifully. It's got a nice, accurate steering. All in all, a good, fun-to-drive package.
Well, so back seat or behind the wheel, the E-Class definitely does the job. So Mercedes have stretched this. They have taken luxury a sub-segment higher, we could say. But the thing is, you're going to have to stretch your budget too to get this level of luxury.
Now, Honda may have the Accord and the CR-V, but really it's this, the City, that has always been the company's flagship in India. It was the car that launched the brand here. It has been their best seller by far. And this latest model, launched in 2014, has been the best seller of them all, with over 2.2 lakh units sold. However, as things happen, the competition does come a-knocking, and yes, the City has lost a bit of ground in recent times. And so what does a car maker do in a time like this? Introduce an update, of course. And this is exactly what this is, the 2017 City, launched just now. Let's see what it has in store for us. It's impressive just how many little changes Honda has made to the City's exterior, and they all add up. What hits you first are the new full LED headlamps on this new top-spec ZX variant, and the LED daytime running lamps. There's a new, more chiseled bumper, a honeycomb grille, and the chrome strip is a lot like the global market Honda Civic, tipped forward and stretching wide to join the headlamps. At the back, there's a very sporty rear bumper, a boot-lid spoiler, and new LED tail lamps on higher trims. Over to the sides, the only change is the addition of these new 16-inch diamond-cut alloy wheels on the top trim that look really great and give the City a better stance. Over to the inside, and it seems even less has changed. However, there are a number of small details that you'll soon notice. The dials are now backlit in white. There's some nice soft touch plastic on the dashboard, a few silver embellishments here and there, and LED interior lighting for the cabin. The really cool new bit is the 7-inch touchscreen, which is Android-based and has a host of features. There's satellite navigation, video playback, mirror-link smartphone integration, and even a web browser, which connects to the internet via your phone's Wi-Fi hotspot. One bit of equipment that is disappointingly still not part of the list is parking sensors. So you'll have to rely just on a camera to back the city up. Still, a big draw of this city remains the back seat, which is spacious and comfortable as ever. But what about the driver's seat? Has the experience from there changed at all?
Now, Honda hasn't changed anything mechanically with the new 2017 City, and so that leaves me with not a whole lot to tell you about the driving experience. It's still rather agreeable. I'm driving the diesel right now, and as a driving tool, it is very, very good indeed. It's a very tractable engine, very smooth, and it revs quite freely, which is very nice, and not very diesel-like.
What is all too diesel-like, however, is the noise from this 1.5-litre ID.Tech engine. But Honda has tried to address that as well.
One change Honda has made is to refinement, and that's an area that this car really needed a bit of help. You see, they've added insulation to all the right places on this diesel variant, and in truth, it does have an effect. The car does feel a little quieter than before, but you can still hear the noisy engine working its way in the background. But it is a little bit better than before, and you'll be happy to know that. Similarly, no changes have been made to the suspension, so by and large the dynamics remain pretty much the same.
That is to say, it still feels a little jiggly at lower speeds, but pick up the pace and it irons out bumps rather well.
Now what Honda has done is introduce larger 16-inch wheels and wider tires on this top-spec trim. And while I can't tell you anything about the handling on Delhi's rather straight and smooth roads, what I can tell you is that the ride hasn't been affected by the larger wheels. It still feels just as good as it did before.
So, the city has been improved in a number of little ways that make it more appealing to the Indian buyer. Sharper styling? Check. A slightly better cabin ambience? Check. More equipment? Double check. However, in the process, Honda has jacked the prices up quite a bit, so much so that this top-spec diesel ZX costs a whopping 13.56 lakh rupees. That's significantly more than the competition and almost into a segment above. So yes, while the 2017 Honda City is much improved in some crucial areas, it has come at quite a hefty price.
If you live in India and have even a passing interest in motorcycles, it is highly unlikely that you have not heard about the Bajaj Pulsars. The Pulsars, specifically the 180, can rightfully be called India's first homegrown sports-oriented affordable motorcycle. For 2017, Bajaj has gone and given the entire range of Pulsars a nip here and a tuck there. And, backed by popular demand, is the NS200 in place of the AS200. Let's see what this model update has in store for us. The biggest change in the 2017 Pulsars is that they are now compliant with the more stringent BS4 emission norms. All the 2017 Pulsars, except the 135 LS, also get the new automatic headlight on feature. That aside, the changes are mostly limited to new colors and graphics. The smallest of Pulsars receives a few functional changes to allow it to meet the needs of its primary target audience better, the commuter. It now gets a taller visor, a single seat instead of the earlier split seat, and a one-piece grab rail in place of the previous split unit. Mechanically, the bike remains unchanged, well powered and easy to handle, but with too many vibrations, especially in the foot pegs. The Pulsar 150 is the only bike in the range to feature any real mechanical changes. The bore and stroke have been changed to increase the bottom and mid-range performance, and the engine's bottom end and mountings have been redesigned to improve NVH levels. The change in engine performance is not very perceptible, but the improvement in NVH levels definitely is. Apart from that, the clutch and gear have been tinkered with to make them more precise, and the suspension setup has been made flusher. The Pulsar 180 features just one major change, the inclusion of a rear disc brake. This move is mainly in order to bring the 180 more in line with its competition. This bike remains a quick and punchy motorcycle to ride, but the vibrations are still on the higher side. The Pulsar 220S probably features the fewest changes of the lot, limited to a new color, new graphics, and a carbon black finish for the silencer. At 220cc, the 220S is the biggest capacity Pulsar, powerful and comfortable, and featuring projector headlights. The NS200 was discontinued in 2015 to prevent it from cannibalizing sales of the AS200. 2017, in a dramatic turn of events, welcomes the NS200 back by popular demand, replacing the AS200 in its turn. It now features new colors and graphics and gets a belly pan for that added Street Fighter appeal. It is mechanically unchanged from the previous NS, though Bajaj has worked on the exhaust to make it sound raspier and bassier. Bajaj's only fully fed motorcycle features two new color schemes that are based on customer feedback that the bike was slightly overstyled. We particularly like the graphite black color scheme. The RS200 is the only Pulsar that gets ABS as an option. As is evident, this 2017 Pulsar update has got us a little more than cosmetic changes, and we certainly do wish that Bajaj had included greater changes as a part of this package. However, they have promised us that they will keep on working on the Pulsars, and the next update we see is likely to be properly substantial. Until then, this lot is what we have, and that by no means is a bad thing.